So y'all know y'all live with Snapchat Queen, the AI chatbot friends. I got to show y'all how many folks done popped in this Wi-Fi signal when that bright speed truck left, family. Now this how many signals that done popped up since this truck left. Now, a while ago it had a list of things it was messing with by vehicle. Now look at all these networks that popped up, family, since this truck left. Now you see how I was moving my cursor around, right? That's them wanting to be seen that them working. Telling how we can track them down even to their hotspot box. Right? This how smart they are as criminals. Right? You're dealing with children, right? Who can't get their minds off a video game. Only develop skills to hide in backgrounds to steal. Only got skills to steal. Think about Freemason. That mean they Masons who want to live for free. Let's break their words down. Right? A Freemason is a person who want to live for free under networks. Hidden networks who want to live for free. A secret organization who want to do this all day long. Sit on this digital world as a hidden network to steal your stuff. Recover me, right? Using codes through your network, right? The villain, right? Coding each other out, Skybill. Coding each other out through the Wi-Fi, right? Cyber attack. This is in their world what they would call a cyber attack, right? Where I showed you how the truck just left, right? The bright speed truck in the background, setting up all them signals, right? Flies and bugs flying around in November. Hold on, family. Let me show you this fly. Since they want to fly out in November. I mean, I got flies and gnats, family, inside this car. Hold on, family. I got to pull the camera out to show you this. Hold on, y'all. Family. I got flies in November. Today is November the 3rd, 2025. They bugs is out of season. I mean, this North Carolina. And if we got bugs, flies flying around, y'all tell me. Because I had to spread down. And it seems like the flies only come out when you're saying some smart stuff. When you're driving and when you're eating. Y'all know I got to put my reading glasses on. Y'all see that, boy? Look, when did we get these things outside of November, right? And that's, I mean, y'all tell me. That's why I said, boy, when we living in a world where folks can't think past stealing, that they really got flies, they want to steal so bad. They created nanobot flies and bugs To fly around to listen to you, to steal your stuff. Well, y'all out with Snapchat Queen, AI chatbot friend, family. Y'all let me know what breed of flies that is and what they teaching these kids in school about the bug life. I mean, I'm itching to know. I'm itching to know what they telling these kids about what a bug do, right? Because we camped outside as children. We stayed outside as kids. And just like the birds, it's a migration, seasonal. The animals know when to get out of here. It's the humans who don't. I'm going to say it again. The animals know when to get out and move on about their business when the weather comes. The animals that get messed up down here is the ones that's attached to a pole or a human. Because they can't get out of here. Because they can sense when something ain't right. That's why a lot of humans need dogs. Because the dog tell them what's going on. Right? Not because they using their brain. They waiting on the dog to look up so they can know somebody outside. The dog is more aware of what's going on around them than they are. You gotta think why some people get certain animals. You gotta think, why would somebody be walking a hound dog around in the hood? Right? You gotta understand a war without fighting. They call it the art of war. That means any means necessary. Right? So why wouldn't we be on the any means necessary with them? Radio frequency. Any means necessary. Turn up the frequency on the devices around you. Drop the flies and bugs off to bring radiation frequency around you at all times. Gotta think about how in their mind they want to steal America to live for free. Not logically thinking, baby, if you take off all the people that know how to feed you and clothe you and shelter you for people that only know how to steal with no skills, baby, you self-destructing yourself. Especially if the glue don't glue. I've been working on this dragon, and the reason why I've been working on this dragon, I haven't finished doing what I got to do because you got to pay attention to the glue. Right? An artist know before you complete anything, you got to see how this thing gonna hold together, especially if you want to make a profit off something, right? And you're not gonna be able to sell anything like this if the glue ain't glued. Now, what if this was a house that one of them contractors was building and they used this glue, because all the glue come from the same company, in that house to hold this house together. And the glue man sold him some glue that won't mix together. Now it's raining outside, right? That whiteout like that gonna happen, family. Because the glue is gonna not be glue no more. It's not gonna have the agent that it needs in that glue to be waterproof, right? So now you gotta think in somebody's mind where the glue to hold your house is not as important as the glue for you to be on the telephone or in front of a computer or a gaming system. Now let's think about the logic of that. The glue that's holding your house together and your roads together is not a high or top priority over you sitting inside that building or inside of their home with the glue, right, that you cheated yourself out of. But the nail polish you put on your fingernails freeze up like it's supposed to with the resin mixture, right? The game you're tapping on and the screen you're looking at, the computers and all that, right? It's held together. I mean, that thing welded down, right? But the structure you living in is cracking and bulking that you sitting inside of because you cheated yourself on something as simple as some glue. Gotta think of the logic of that. And that's why I say you can't phantom in 2025 how bad somebody want a crown on their head, but killing themselves at the same time and will never get it. Because this is what's going to happen. If you inside that building on a rainy day and that water hit that glue and it all just crumble like a sand dune. Because it said all the sinking sand when you simple yourself into that much of a materialistic world, that digging for diamonds and jewelry and stuff is more important than your security and safety in a structure. You live with Snapchat Queen AI chatbot friend. We're gonna break this digital war down, fam. We gotta break it down. It's called a cyber war. You gotta think of the body that they wanted to fight and take America down, right? This would be them working in them internet companies, right? Using the fiber optic and not realizing, baby, even in the fiber, you need a glue to hold the ground back together. That's a whole different type of glue that you need, because I studied that too. Because I tell you, my homegirl wanted to be the first black woman to own a fiber optic business while I was working on housing, job, and healthcare and wraparound services for the Americans, not for the terrorists. That's why we looking at them like, baby, how did y'all come in and try to piggyback off us to steal it for a terrorist? It makes no logical sense. We gonna give y'all something you ain't entitled to, especially when y'all going to these funeral homes, buying dead people's social security information. We ain't about to play these games outside when you at war with America without no fight. Boy, I be back. Y'all live with Snapchat Queen AI drop back. Chat box friend said drop back Queen. Cause y'all gotta think these people went all the way around the world recruiting. Right? They doing musical events. I told you it's in the music. Them following the music. Dancing to the tunes. Inside these earbuds, following us around on this digital war. Playing with our food. Right? Going around the world. Recruiting, family. I mean, that's why I said it makes no logical sense. Working in the prison systems. I tell you, they got the prison system on lock. I mean, come on now. You created a bunch of people outside who can't live without somebody else's money. Needing to kill or unalive a black person, right, for them to continue on, right? They madness. Long as they can take one of us out, then they can have a meeting like this. Now, they can gather like this, right? For this, why can't they gather in them city council meetings with a business plan, a proposal, and a budget that they can pay back off their businesses, right? If they can gather for this, why you can't gather in City Hall and on these budget meetings for your community? Because I'm in those meetings. I walk around and tell you to show up to them. I got pictures of me in these meetings, right? So if I got meetings and stuff, well, I'm telling y'all, baby, if you want something, bring me a business plan, a budget, and a proposal, and how you can pay it back with an exit strategy in case it don't work. And that don't register in your brain, baby. That's a problem. Because why would you show up in the masses at this with no problem, but in the meetings that matter to your community, you got a mayor you voting for in your community who want to put a brewery up, a liquor company up, a liquor bar up, right? Instead of constructive businesses for your community. You got a mayor that want to put a liquor store up instead of a grocery store in your community. Now, when it's time to show up to those meetings that matter, baby, you a no-show. How do I know, baby? Because I've been in the meetings. Now, right here, it tells you how I be. I don't know where Chapel Hill come from, but a motivational speaker working with the Poor People Campaign on economics and human rights. Right? And that's why I say, if you can show up by the masses, right? You can show up by the masses to that, right? But can't show up to the masses, to the meetings I've been telling you to show up to, right? Make it make sense. You like what Snapchat Queen, the AI chatbot friend. Boy, when they trying to make you something you're not, boy, you got to send that feedback on them, family. Boy, you got to Google yourself. Boy, let me Google me, baby. Okay, that sound like me right there, because we don't know what they got going on. Right? Right? How it led to modern day homelessness, right? How they put me out of my house through these networks. I can show you how they put me out of the house through the networks, right? How they try to put me out again, right? And that's why I say when you paying your bills and they want to be Freemasons living for free while you out here working, right? Working. And they trying to label you as a crackhead while they running Medicaid scams with the crack in the game. They set up all these classes and programs where they can now take Medicaid money off putting crackheads and homeless people in the streets out here in Greenville, North Carolina. Following us around, putting us out while they begging for federal government money. This is the Poor People Campaign scandal. This is them out there creating modern day homelessness through these campaigns. Taking up money from families with disabilities and all, putting them in hardship so that they can come over here and live under work visas, school visas, I mean all kind of stuff. Now this is how they follow me and my child around, trying to make me something that I'm clearly not, family. Try to make you something you're not. Try to make you something you're not. Trying to make you vulnerable when you're not vulnerable. Coming in your community as NC Silver, playing with the telecom, playing with your cars, following you around, making sure they can try to figure out a way to keep you outside while they out here running for a federal dollar. Fighting against each other in organizations for a federal dollar. For what I say this war was about, family, your economics, right? your human rights, right? They want to belittle you through an organization like NC Civil, right? Neighborhood capacity building in vulnerable communities. Knowing they making you vulnerable by isolating you, separating you, and circling you around, getting jobs to tamper with your life. But this I can break it down because I've been through this with them. This is why I had to become an economic and human rights speaker. I had to speak up for people because these folks with NC Civil neighborhood capacity building programs created a vulnerable situation for the Americans by creating organizations doing exactly what they saying they doing, just in the opposite. The community was strong, so we're gonna make it vulnerable, right? We're gonna volunteer to clean up, but we're gonna trash it. We're gonna suck up all your resources from over here, but we're not gonna live amongst you. But we control all the job and the housings. We know there's not a grocery store around, but we're gonna give you an Arab store or a corner store or a liquor store. You live with Snapchat Queen, the AI chat bot free, boy. I'll be back. I'm gonna show you how they created a situation for the Americans through their economics and try to put us out and make us homeless. Right? This is the people and organizers who come in through our government system. That's why I say, baby, if y'all can rally like that to get jobs, to create a modern day homeless situation for people, baby, where was you at in these meetings I was on where we was asking for a business plan, a budget, and a proposal? There was a no-show. But they clearly outside going to war over economics, creating poverty in people and families out of pure jealousy and hating to see somebody succeed. Y'all be amazed at what I've been around these campaigns and heard and seen with how selfish people can get over somebody else's dollar. How selfish people get to lead someone to homelessness. Follow you around. That's why I was telling y'all about my daughter. Following my daughter around through the school systems. Right? Trying to make her only think about herself being in poverty while they got a bag around her. Right? Trying to belittle her through school, trying to dumb her down and make her feel like she don't know what is what. But she had a mother who taught her better when she came home. Baby, this is what it is. Don't you ever let nobody label you because they can't comprehend what they want you to understand. That's for them to break down their dialogue to you if they want to communicate with you, baby. I'm your mother. I'm going to show you how to survive out here. My daughter, 22 years old, ain't called me yet. That mean as a mother, I did my job. That mean as a mother, she's able to take care of herself without picking up mama. Where you at, mama? Come drop me off. Come drop me off this. No, that mean I did my job. I raised her to be self-sufficient. And I hope that's what you do for your kids too. While they in the background at these school systems trying to deprogram them to their thinking. That's why you got to understand codes, right? That's why you got to understand codes, right? Understand codes, right? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I hear you, baby. I see you too. I see you begging for money, right? Around the world. For this bag you ain't gonna get because you need her as your gateway to be in America. So mama said, no, ain't no gateway, ain't no code, and it ain't no bag. Because you declaring war when you got to carry your tail to work like her mama did. She got to go to work like her mama did and get her own bag. We don't believe in trust funds and wheels for somebody like you to come across that water to be studying a trust fund and a wheel from dead folks that we can't find. That you're inside the school system trying to learn her heritage so you can follow her around for a bag that you want to spend off her through paperwork and travel. She ain't got no passport. She ain't never left these shores. Unless y'all took her while she was in school. Without my knowledge or permission. Now, if you can do these kind of gatherings, right? Why you not gathering about fixing up these communities outside, baby? Why you not doing a gathering about how to clean up yourselves? Why are you gathering about looking at somebody else come up, somebody else success, while you're gathering to steal it? You can gather to steal it. Boy, y'all got to make it make sense. Especially when you done got so bad at it. You're in the school systems with our children, tracking our children down to steal it. Sit down. You're doing too much. And this is when we get triggered. Because you're doing too much. Especially when you can gather this hard. You got the phone coded in her hand. Right? I can show the codes you're doing. Following people around with phones. You got the mask on. That's the disease war. Right? The COVID-19, right? The AIDS and stuff y'all spreading around, right? That's the disease war you out here on. Cause see, we trying to overstand. We trying to overstand how you can gather this hard. I mean, you can gather this hard. But when it's time to gather on them meetings that will ask you for a budget, you will no show. But you can talk about medicine, right? The poison and take out the Americans. You can gather for that, right? But you can't gather in one of them meetings in your community about what you gonna do to bring up your community instead of tearing it down. Boy, I'll be back. I'll be back. This ain't a race war with color. It's a race war with paperwork, family. It's about paperwork and genetics. Right? Them wanting to be white on paperwork. Right? Them wanting to be white right here on paperwork. Them wanting to be white on paperwork. They have a race war within themselves on their own code. They fighting to be white while they talking against whiteness. You're speaking against whiteness, but you're fighting to be white on paperwork. You speak against whiteness while you put the makeup, the jury on, and the wigs on just like them. But you're fighting to be there with the makeup, right? Where my finger at? With the makeup, right? The nails, the wigs, right? You're fighting to be them. Why you saying you ain't trying to be them, boy? Y'all make it make sense with what y'all got going on. What is the order in y'all group? What is y'all fighting about, baby? All that go back to control of that federal dollar, right? For the trust funds. Goes back to them working funeral home magic, black magic, right? Spell work, right? Them working with the funeral homes on who family died and what wills were left and what trust, because they will have access to all the information. All that trust fund money that's in that reserve is controlled through the federal dollar. That's why they don't care about nothing else shutting down in America, or except for that federal government that control that trust fund money that don't belong to them. It belonged to the grandchildren of the Americans that was here, and not the people who married into the family to steal it. Because you got to think why they wanted those jobs in the banks, anything that control your money. IRS, stuff like that, is them controlling that federal dollar. Because the war is about money, American money, power, American power, and respect. American respect. That's when they... I want you to flick my big come up in there, right? That's when we keep the dirt under the nails, right? Because we want you to flick the big. Just flick it. Just flick it. What you like with Snapchat Queen, AI chatbot friend, boy? We sipping coffee, breaking down these codes, putting the sheets together, writing notes, taking notes, and keeping track of sheets, right? On how to flick this big on America. Or do they call it a backfire? We learning they dialogue, family. We learning they dialogue. I mean, we know what we call it. They just call it something different. But we been on it. I mean, we been on the poison. Boy, they been trying to take us out and give us federal charges for a long time. Most of the people in this community locked up on a federal charge, while they out doing what the local community got locked up for, and it was them doing it. That's why it's weird to me when I can sit here and tell you how McNair and NC Silver started back in the 80s and 90s working against the local community. We can go back to Tobacco Road when they went over there, rest in peace to my cousin Twan, and took him out because he was in a car accident and had some money come. They took him out because it was always about somebody getting some money. As soon as somebody got some money, they started taking them out. Now, if you look at how many housing complexes McNair owned, and you see before he got his hands on those properties, and you look at the conditions they were at to where he bought them to, y'all tell me if there's war or not. Especially if he didn't grow up in this area and move people into these communities to intentionally tear them out. I mean, we have tennis courts, basketball courts, football fields, baseball fields, parks. I mean, swimming pools. We have all this in our community. They came in through these organizations, after school programs, hated on the local people. Like I said, even down to us wearing jewelry and being able to drive in high school. Something that our parents taught us how to do. To hurry up and get us out of their house. Stuff that our parents taught us to hurry up and make us independent and self-sufficient. They have a problem with. And that's why we confused, because if our parents taught us how to live on our own at a very early age, why would you have a problem because we can survive? That's something you're supposed to be taking note on instead of mass rallying against new codes, against some people like us who, instead of rallying to hate on somebody, got together in a rally to say, girl, let me show you how to plant this garden. Girl, let me show you how to go out here and fertilize the yard so you can eat and not be hungry. Let me show you how to turn this car into a house. So in case they want to be stupid like they did, try to put you outside, you still got shelter and still can survive. Now, you can keep your money that you were paying rent on. Keep your light bill money you were paying lights on. And just put $10 worth of gas in here and last for a couple of days. Now you can save your money and do something else with it. On the other hand, it backfired on them because now they still got to find somebody to get into that unit. They still got to pay the mortgage and the taxes. And then if they do get somebody in the unit, they better hope that they take care of it like I did. Because it's going to cost them more money. Put somebody else in it that ain't going to value the way I valued it. And they still lose. I'm still doing good. I still eat good. I still get up and fix my coffee. I still light me a cigarette with it. And I still can have me a plate. I still can go get me some wings. Go ahead, Domino. You can roll that dog roll. Dominoes! Right? And still keep my peace, my sanity, right? And figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my day. Because I ain't got no children. They grown. So you continue to do what grown folk do. Mind your business and do you. You like Snapchat Queen AI chat? Well, free boy, I mean, keep y'all on this long. But if they can gather this heavy in unity to beg, they can gather this hard in unity to fix them some food. Right? Y'all tell me. Did we have some questions? Dropping receipts.